Longtime fans of the show should be familiar with the lender formerly known as Sue Pullen, and I'm pleased to announce that she's back, fresh off a rebrand and ready to help as Sue Mackey. Sue is a certified mortgage advisor at Fairway Independent Mortgage, an equal housing lender who focuses on finding the right product for you and your needs. She has over 20 years of experience helping thousands of homeowners. Whether it's purchasing, refinancing, or even a reverse mortgage, Sue will help. Sue's licensed in 36 states now, so reach out and let Sue Mackey it happen for you. The best way to reach her is just give her a call at 520-977-7904 or in an email, spullen@fairwaymc.com. Fairway Independent Mortgage has an MLS number of 2289. Sue Mackey has an MLS number of 206048. That email again, spullen@fairwaymc.com, and that phone number is 520-977-7904. Shoot Sue an email and let her know she needs to update that address. Disclaimer time. This is where I tell everyone to lighten up. It's just a podcast. Trading is like that roller coaster at the amusement park. Thrilling, unpredictable, and potentially stomach-churning. What works for one person might leave another clutching their hat in the wind. Our hosts and guests, they're awesome, knowledgeable, full of insights, but we're not financial advisors. So don't rush to make any investment decisions based solely on our banter. Always consult with a professional or do your own research. Plus, let's face it, we like to have fun, laugh, enjoy the trading ride together. It's all in the name of good podcasting fun. So remember, take it easy, don't bet the farm, and keep your seatbelts on at all times. Thank you for listening. Hello everybody, welcome to the China Shop, home of the Band of Traders, and sometimes referred to as the I Love Elsa show. I am your host and aspiring trader, Kyle, and joining me tonight we've got Baba Yaga and Mr. Banks, founders of Vanta Trading, and our good friend Perdue joining us. On the docket for tonight's discussion, we'll talk about how our panelists react when the markets don't do what we expect, followed by a discussion on revenge trading and how to guard against it. After that, we'll look at our past week, the good, bad, and ugly segment, before wrapping up with some new bold predictions. First, let's get the show news and promotions out of the way so we can focus on tonight's discussion. So coming out on Thursday, we've got the next installment of our options series with Eric Smolensky. But going forward, those are going to be moved over to Eric's YouTube channel, and we'll be streaming them live on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Central. And I believe the first one of those starts this coming Tuesday on the 5th. After that, I've got an awesome interview with Tony Saliba coming out, but that's pretty much what we got going on over here. What about you guys, Baba, Banks? Who wants to make that big Vanta announcement? Banks, you got it for it.
Yeah, I guess there's not a lot of new stuff, with doing this and, kind of running through some new evals and kind of hitting our second round of evals, or the baseline evals that we're doing. There's not a lot of things new. I mean, we got a lot of stuff that we're working on.
It's prepping you for the
we do have a
town
town
hall.
hall. I forgot about that.
Come on.
Yeah, we got the town hall, I guess, next week. But just chugging along as normal.
What do you got planned for that town hall?
So we've been working on some stuff. Some of the behind the scenes, late night lab sessions that we're going to kind of unload, I guess, on Thursday.
Nice.
And then the goal of that is to kind of give a baseline for that, and then to put in a like a course behind it. So in the sense of maybe it's 5 to 10 different kind of videos beyond that just go into more depth with what we've been working on.
That's awesome. We got a little taste of it too after the M period for the few who stuck around for that.
I didn't realize that was an hour and a half.
I know.
Is that why you ignored my calls? I called you like 3 times.
Oh, he said his wife called.
Yeah, I was talking.
Yeah, I mean, myself, his wife.
What about you, Perdue? You got anything going on?
Oh, nothing special. Just still trying to promote my wife's book on Amazon, Nothing Left But Ashes.
Nice. How's that? How's the feedback going on that?
Very good. She's an aspiring author. She's working on her second one right now.
Oh, is it a sequel or a different story?
Yep, sequel.
Oh, man, you might have started something. Encouraging her to do the first one. You may never see her again. Turn into Stephen King.
Oh, I hope so. She's really good at it.
Yeah. All right. So, does anybody remember their bold predictions from last time? Because I think we probably need to review those.
I think mine was about a bank before the end of the year, so I still got some time.
You got time on yours, yeah. I think you wanted.
I got time.
Did you say 1 or 2 bank failures?
I said at least one. I don't know.
At least one. I thought we might have witnessed one right after the close.
I was hoping for yelling to drop the F-bomb.
I saw her at the In-N-Out Burger. I swear she probably swore there. How are your Gamecocks doing, Baba?
Let's see. The prediction was to win the last, was it 3 or 4 games? I
Last 3 games,
believe.
I think you said, yeah.
And last 3 games, won 2 of the last 3. So, I mean, I didn't win the bold prediction, but could have been worse.
Wait, I thought you still had one more week to go.
Hey,
Who are they playing this? Who are they playing tomorrow?
No, there's no bowl game, and the final game was last week.
Okay. All
We
right.
lost.
No, mine was I predicted Cisco was going to smash their earnings and then tank. And then if you go to Reddit, you'd find a bunch of people crying about manipulation. And all of that actually happened, except I had to go to FinTwit, and I don't think that counts. So it was close. It was close, but I don't know. We'll probably have to try to follow this up with some better ones. So if you stick around to the end, we'll have some new predictions. But for now, I think it's probably time to set the stage and move into the first roundtable question we got for today. So let me set the stage here. Done all your prep for the morning. Price comes into your level, the one that you've been stalking, and just completely disrespects it. I know how the tendency of some of us to react to that is to try to force your will upon the market. My question for you guys who are more experienced is, what do you do in that situation? How do you react to that?
First thing I do is I step back.
Yeah? Okay.
If something happens and it doesn't react the way I anticipated it to happen, I have to step back. I have to get onto higher time frames. I have to see, is there something that I missed? I mean, the market's going to do what the market wants to do, but sometimes if it flies through a level that you thought it was important, I think I missed something.
Right. So I think a lot of the times we get to that confirmation bias where we start looking for anything to say that, okay, maybe I wasn't right here, but maybe it's like 5 points higher or 10 points higher, or maybe it was the next level, and then we try to force our will on that one, but without taking into context that maybe, hey, this was the important spot. This spot did not do what we thought. Something is wrong. I missed something.
Easiest time
Yeah.
that happens is on the algos, on the news algos that happens, which is also something that I always will keep paying attention to that level, because sometimes a news algo will fly past it and then we'll come back to that level, and then you'll see that resistance or that support go into play, and then you can take your level.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. What about you, Banks?
Yeah, I would say I fall kind of in the same category. I don't typically trade a lot of news events, but with there's been some stuff that we've been looking at, which it makes a lot of sense on why certain areas react the way that they do, and that's what we were kind of talking about in M period. But when those levels don't play, it's typically it's not eye opening, but it's something to where it's definitely a review, like a review type of day.
Mm-hmm.
Because when those areas don't play and you're kind of leaning on that, in my mind, that's more of like a manipulation of the market. In the sense of, at least I'm not looking at something, or everyone else is not looking at, because I would say that the vast majority of us have the same levels in the same areas.
Yeah.
When that level doesn't play, it's typically on a news event, something along those lines. But I think Perdue is right. I mean, stepping away and kind of taking a look back and just kind of saying, I was either completely wrong in this, or I just think the market is not going to be, I guess, very friendly today in the way that it's going to play.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because you can have a normal day where the market's going to blast through levels, but at the same time frame, it should respect something. And, typically on those days where you get, a 300, 400 point move on NQ,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's taken out level after level after level. And that's just the day where, I would say the vast majority of traders get blown out. Just because they're relying on level after level to hold.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just one of those where, when those levels don't hold, that's just pure manipulation. And I don't know how else to look at it differently.
I mean, I kind of maybe started with a bit of an extreme example, but the other side of that is when you expect a reaction to happen at a spot and it doesn't happen, or it's not the reaction you expect. Like, I want to see a sharp rebid out of there, but when it kind of slowly grinds away, sometimes we could trick ourselves into thinking, okay, that's close enough.
Yeah, on that standpoint, I would say I am a bit more patient than probably most in the entries, and I would say the vast majority of those moves I'm not chasing, and I'm not going to bid higher. If it's a low that I'm kind of counting on, and I'm looking for 10, 15 points lower, the vast majority of the time that I'm looking in that spot,
Mm-hmm.
we tend to hit it. It's just a matter of when. So it's just a matter of being patient for your levels, and just because it's 10, 15 points higher, it can easily make that 15 point. And what's your risk on that? All you're doing is just accepting more risk for less reward.
That's an excellent point, and something that I have to keep in mind. I've been actually seeing that a lot in the back testing I've been doing. If I got stacked, hourly levels, and I try to lean on the first one, I usually get blown out of the water when they go hit the other ones right next to it. What about you, Baba?
Well, I mean, I'm not as patient as Banks. I know that comes as a surprise to everybody in here. I can tell you this. It's like a blessing and a curse. Like, so great days are a blessing and a curse. Meaning for me, like, let's say I have an anticipation of a certain area or zone that should be responsive in a general direction, right? So on days where you're right, like not where you're right, that's not the right way. On days where what you would anticipate to unfolds the manner in which you anticipated it, then you can get away with leaning in ahead of schedule, or like without the confirmations maybe that you should have. So those days where you get away with that, there's been days, everyone's experienced that, where you're like, oh, I must have figured everything out and now I'm bulletproof, right? So those days kind of cloud the reality of like the mundane day in, day out, like way that the market moves, and it kind of demands a measure of either really, 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 really rightness or patience. And so I say all that to say, I can lean towards that I've kind of got this thing figured out attitude a little quicker than probably most people do, and probably more so than people should, more so than I should. So that's some of the work that even we've been working on. I can't tell you how close my dog is to me right now. I thought she was going to climb up on the desk. Holy. She changed her mind real quick. But so that's part of some of what we've been working on, is kind of, for me, I know, like, I just noticed some trends developing in my trading and my stats, and I was like, man, I don't really like I could tell where that would lead in like 2-3 months, and that's not the direction I want to go in. So I think for me, it's just, if you have a level and you have an anticipation, depending on the time frame that it comes from, that kind of defines for you the amount of time it could take for that to come to fruition. So if you have a 4-hour level, there's 4 hours for that candle to close, right? Now you may want to be in that trade on the lower end of that action or the upper end of that 4 hours, depending on what your anticipation is. But you have 4 hours until the candle close. Perdue talks about this 4-hour candle by 10 a.m. Where does it close? That's gonna give him information he needs, right? And so I think the same thing, like for an hourly setup, right? Like if there's an hourly zone that you're leaning on, it's going to be an hour before that candle closes. If that doesn't mean you can't take an entry until a whole hour is over necessarily, but you also, if you notice that what you anticipate to immediately happen isn't happening, there's a whole hour for that to happen. So if you're not seeing what you want, just like everybody else has said, kind of slow down. But for me, that's not my strong suit, right? Like slowing down and being like, oh, let's just be very patient and wait for this to happen. Like that's not me. And
I'm a banker.
I'm a banker, and I'm conservative with my risk, right? I'm just kidding. So I mean, I'm working on that though, because that's like your strength, and your your strength can be a weakness at times. So your tenacity and self-belief, and even the idea of having precedent for this type of behavior being very fruitful, until you run into a day that's, you're like, what the heck is going on? So you just have to be mindful of that. Your strengths are there for you, but you can't solely just like fly by that, like the seat of your pants kind of thing. you know.
I'm curious, have you guys ever had a situation where you started out with like the wrong idea of what's going to happen and then managed to figure out what was happening in the same session without stepping away from it and resetting?
You mean like big picture idea for the
Yeah.
day?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. What is the process that goes through that? Because I think that's something that a lot of us struggle with.
Are you just basically like calling me out for how I traded Wednesday? Is that what's happening, or?
No. I'm thinking of myself when a level plays and I have a bullish idea and a bullish thesis, and then it's
Yeah.
very obvious that I should not have had that opinion, but it's sometimes really hard to shake that bias. Like how do you keep yourself from getting locked into an idea and not being able to adapt?
It's
Go ahead, Perdue.
I'm gonna say it's that if then this kind of statement, whatever that is. Like if your level doesn't hold and it pops up through it and then liquidates back down through it, and you're like, something's the matter here, and then you go when you watch it go back up there, and then it hits resistance again. Well, this is not supposed to be the way this is supposed to be happening,
Mm-hmm.
and that's like my favorite actually now. It used to be one of my tilt mechanisms when I was trying to hit the long and do it again, and I'd screw it up. And now that I've started to learn where these areas are better, that the whole look above and fail,
Mm-hmm.
those are some of my best trades because they happen the fastest because so many people are on the wrong side of that trade.
How are you recognizing that?
It's just watching the price action. I'm a horrible order flow trader. It's actually just watching speed of tape, watching the candlesticks.
I like it.
I'm really just a candlestick trader.
Yeah. I've actually been leaning more towards that myself. It's so much easier, I think, to see the structure and not get sucked into silly things. But I like what Baba you said about the hourly time frames, and like if you're on an hourly candle, then you have an hour for that to play out. Because
Yeah.
a lot of times we look at like a big green candle and think, "Oh shit, this thing is going up." But
Go
even
do a
with
replay and buy it every
Yeah,
time it looks
yeah.
like it's going to go up, quote unquote. It's not going to work out for you. I mean
tell you that too.
that enticement into a decision is never that is when I say fly by the seat of your pants. That's not exactly what I'm talking about either. But that enticement is it's like an advertisement. It's like what it's like. I'm gonna leave. I'm not gonna say that analogy. We'll think of a different one. Yeah, it's like
I'll
it's
cut
not.
it.
It's advertised. Okay, well then it's like walking down a street and someone trying to sell you drugs. Like that the implication is if you buy that, it's going to give you what you want, right? That's what everyone has thought at a certain point with when dealing with stuff like that, right? But like at the end of the night or the end of the day or whatever, that doesn't actually yield what you thought it would. So like that big green candle or that big red candle, it's a false advertisement most of the time. Not 100% of the time, but most of the time it's just an enticement mechanism.
And the worst thing is when those things do work in your favor, and now suddenly you've been rewarded for
That's
doing
right.
something silly.
Yeah, we talk about that sometimes when we're sitting on our hands in the room when the market is moving, but there's not responsible opportunities to participate that are being presented based on the work that we've done or that we have. So what if you're sitting there for an hour without a trade on? Like, better than taking stops or chasing or fueling a bad behavior that maybe you get away with that day. And I think that's language we've used, right? Like, oh, well, today you might get away with that, but that is not going to lead to long-term sustainability in this game.
Well said.
That type of activity. Now, if you're sharp enough to differentiate and be like, oh, today I can do this because of this, but maybe tomorrow I can't, then maybe you can roll with it. But most of the time we just choose to just let it be.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both of them. Like kind of like what Perdue was talking about. Like, unless something really sets up for a structure wise, those moves just don't mean anything to me. Because if we're moving, but I don't have an area to lean on, then for me, I would rather just not be looking at it. In the sense of like areas of interest, it's really like I'll have trading up on one screen and work on the other. And it's just a matter of, did Kyle drop off?
Kyle, we lost your video.
I hope we didn't lose Kyle completely. It seems like we might have lost Kyle, guys, and we are going to be flying blind until he gets back.
I'm not sure.
I'm not.
Can he join? Can he join back?
That's an interesting question. We should probably send him. There he is.
There he is.
There he is.
There he's coming
All
back.
right, Kyle.
Back from the dead.
Hey.
That was annoying. Kicked me out for some reason. I have to turn down your guys's. I have to turn down your setting.
Yeah, I've noticed your video has gone down a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. What did I miss?
We just solved all world problems in trading. We know all the answers now. So.
Ah, shit, I missed it.
Yeah, actually, so that kind of wraps it up, right, guys? Are we good?
Yep. I think we're good.
All right, fair enough.
Just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess what I was talking about or going to talk about was just kind of more areas of interest. So, in the sense of, like flipping in and out of trades or whatever like that, like, and I guess I can go into this early, but like my bad for the week is, I mean, how many trades I typically take. When we had that negative day, I think it was Wednesday, the big red day. I mean, I just kind of like, I looked at the stats kind of like midway through the day, and I'm just like, I have traded so many more trades than I normally trade. And it's just a matter of like, I just kept taking a bunch of like break even stops, I didn't get the follow through I wanted, but the bias was never changing. And I think that's what you were talking about. Like I like on that day, I didn't have the ability to change my bias. I didn't have an area to sell from, but I also didn't have an area to theoretically buy from until the lows. In reality, I mean, we had a couple spots along the way that I took maybe some break-even stops. But, down at the bottom, I mean, that whole 200-point drop, I really didn't have anything there in the sense of being chopped in and out or like just let's bid here and hope for the best, in the sense of that. But in the sense of like areas of interest and kind of leaning up in the seat, I guess what I'm trying to get at is I really don't try to be in a trade just because the market's moving. It's more of you're leaning on where your prep is and where your areas of interest are. And if you kind of wait for those areas, it's a lot easier to say, if this area is going to hold and I'm in a long, then this area should be the spot. If this area goes, then what's below us and can I be in that short to go target that? Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit easier, like when you know your areas of interest kind of going into the market. But, on that day, I mean, I probably took 20 longs. It's just like,
what?
It's just a matter of like up, like I'd go up 15 points, 20 points, whatever, and then break even.
Right.
Go up 10 points, 15 points, break even. And then, but it's just the mindset of like kind of what Baba was talking about. Like that was a huge level. And in the matter of when that move actually occurred was probably 4 to 5 hours later than where that started. So I'm trying to get in on a move that is on a 1 5-minute setup. But that move didn't really take place until we had everything primed up, ready to go 4 hours later. So in the sense of, I was never wrong in the bias, but the mentality and my method of trading was completely off that day.
You're actually kind of segueing into the next topic, so maybe we just go ahead and move on to that one, which was basically how many tries are you guys willing to give the same trade thesis, and what factors into your decisions in that case? To like take multiple
Wednesday
stops.
It was 20.
Exactly. So talk me through that process.
I would say, on a normal day, anywhere between, 2 to 4 trades typically. I mean, because in reality, if you're in on the right trade at the beginning of the day, if it's going to be a trend day, that should really only be the only trade you take. Mm-hmm. On a balanced day, then you might have a different approach where you're kind of more in and out, like on the highs and lows and kind of looking at those areas of interest. But I would say if I go over that on any sort of day, like on Wednesday, it's just a matter of, it's going to be one of those, you're up a little bit, you're down a little bit, you're break even, you're up, it's going to be one of those days, or it's just an absolute red day. Mm-hmm. I think the number of trades and kind of the mental capacity that it takes to be in those trades, it just wears on you.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's something that even happened to me this week. It's just a matter of, being in the moment and kind of just knowing where you're at mentally. And, obviously, Wednesday could have ended up being a lot worse. Basically, it was a break-even day. Mm-hmm. But it was a matter of that I just walked away. after kind of noticing that.
Yeah, I actually felt like I was kind of experiencing something similar Friday morning or today. I came in with, I don't know, it just didn't quite feel right. Something felt off. And I tried executing a couple trades, and when they went in my face, I said, you know what, I don't think I got a good read on what's going on today. I'm just going to go channel that effort into something else. And sometimes that's a hard thing to do. Like, I still wanted to trade, so I just pulled up the charts and did some replay instead. It's like, you know what, I'll get my fix this way. At least do something productive with it, not put risk on the table.
Yep, absolutely.
And that's a great thing to start noticing, really. I mean, start putting that down in your journal.
Mm-hmm.
This day, pre-market, I saw the market clear. Today, fuzzy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I have to sit here and wait for some market generated information to happen. That's been a big key to me that I've noticed the days that I feel like I have a pulse to what's going to happen, and to compare the days where I need to sit there and watch.
What about the question or the topic at hand here? Like, how many tries are you willing to give a certain idea before you'll say, you know what, I'm done. I'm going to wait for the next opportunity.
It's normally 2 to 3. Everything, just like Banks said, it's your emotions. I have a fixed R that I will lose within one day, and I'll stop.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, though, yeah, it is probably the 2 to 3 times I'll give something a try. You know, especially if it's you had the right shot and you get bottom ticked and you break even or something like that, and you see another shot, I'll give it another go. But anything more than that, I'll step away.
So yeah, you're not talking about getting run over, but when you can see that you had the right idea, but just maybe not quite the right entry.
Those might be the times, yeah, the times that actually I had the right entry and just got bottom ticked or just was just unlucky.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see it rip right to where you wanted to go. Actually, today was a great example of that. On Friday, I was long YM from very, very, very short in the open at 36,004 and took all my profits, left one runner on for Powell, and Powell's coming on at 11 o'clock, bottom ticked me. And then we ran off to the races, 300 more points on YM.
Ouch.
Yeah.
It's another
I
hard one
closed,
sometimes to recover from.
yeah, I closed that screen and just didn't touch it.
Yeah, probably a smart move. What about you, Baba? You got anything to contribute? We got a whole video you put out recently that I think kind of showcases your analysis of this type of scenario.
Yeah, I mean, I am fine to take a handful of stabs at an idea as long as the thing that so you have, like, for me, there's like the structure of what's there, right? Like the structure of the market, the structure of the day, the anticipation, the potential. I think we have these couple of key spots I'd like to see us interact with. Generally, I'm not sitting on my hands, and Perdue and I are a little bit different here. I'm not sitting on my hands waiting till we get to something far away to do something. If I think that place out there is where the business is, and I can justify participating till we get there, like up to that level or down to that level, I a lot of times will, but not just like randomly click the button. Like if I get a setup in a good way. So for instance, for that YouTube video, there was an idea of where I thought we could trade to that seemed reasonable. And then there was the way the market unfolded. It checked a few boxes that I'm always looking for. So once we checked all those boxes, and then we were positioned kind of like what I thought we would position like. So yeah, I was piling into that trade. I was minding my risk. I wasn't being reckless. I wasn't getting tilted out. I was on live stream, so you guys, I guess if you were there, I assume you were watching it unfold live. So,
no, you were a little quieter than usual, but you weren't. You didn't look distressed at all.
That was more focus. I was trying to really be surgical with that unfolding, because that had the potential that I felt like was there was going to be pretty stellar. So I really wanted to be positioned for it in such a way that was leaning in when you have potential. But I knew that there was a measure of vulnerability as well, so that's why there was a little more focus. And then I was trading a little bit more size, so I was, not like anything huge, but just So I would say that there's an amount of money for me that if I lose a certain amount, statistically, I just don't have any precedence for being able to recover that much in a day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a massive amount of money. It's just, that's the point where I'm like, my faculties aren't going to be there for me and I'm not going to be able to lean on them. Right.
It's where you're thinking too much about the hole that you've dug and less about what's in front of you.
Yeah. And just, looking at years of data, like there's maybe 2 days that I have been down that amount and then close the day green or positive. It's like if your mind and your capacity to take in data isn't telling you, hey, you're off today, this is not your day, then your P&L can sometimes do that for you as like a objective number. Like, okay, we've crested this line, I need to stop. Because whether cognitively I can accept or admit that like I'm off, the numbers tell me that I'm off. So it's not a trade. It's not a number of stops because those are somewhat dynamic. It's not. It used to be a certain number of trades, but now it's more either that number or it's the emotional like checklist, right? Like how am I sitting? And what are my eyes doing? And I can see all that when I look at the screen, so that's helpful. And then like what are the thoughts that I'm having? So if I have some of those thoughts like we've talked about, like who are these idiots buying up here? Or why in the world would they sell that here? Like those are thoughts that are like, I know that I'm starting to come a little bit undone.
Well, look at the question you're asking. There's obviously, if you're asking that question, you have no idea of what's actually going on, or at least I wouldn't. When I ask that question,
they're also
go ahead.
They're also emotional questions.
Yes,
he's not asking the questions, why are they doing this here, or what's going on here. It's more of a yeah. It's more of a emotional question, like these idiots. Like as soon as you put that word idiots in there.
Yeah, so if like the kind of the rule of thumb is like if I'm thinking that or whatever, then it's just time to be done almost regardless. Like regardless of what, if I've taken one trade and I'm that frustrated, which is rare. I mean, I don't feel like I get that jacked very often, but in theory, those are the lines in the sand for me. So it's not a number of trades, it's the mental side. If I'm staying sharp and engaged or have I, maybe I blew that whole R unit for the day on one massive trade size, well, then I'm just done for that day.
Yeah, and that's something I try to guard against, because one thing I've found in the past is that if I tried an idea too many times, then I'm out of capital by the time it comes to another spot where I probably had a better opportunity. Where if I just would have said, you know what, okay, I gave this 2 tries, that's it, let's wait for something else to happen, I'd still be in the game. And I think that's a lot of what trading is. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
I want to ask a clarifying question, actually, if that's okay. Yep. When you say trading an idea, you're referencing the concept that, hey, we're above this level, we're at a certain key spot in time, the anticipation is a higher move. When you say like try it over and over, you're just meaning like we try to get that trade, take a stop, we get right back there, we try it again, take a stop, get right back. That kind of like repetitive in like a certain sequence under one idea.
For me, like it's like you just described. Like it's a spot or something happens where like this is a swing, a high gets broached in a way that looks like a bullish continuation should happen. Then I'll try the long on that, and maybe I'll give it 2 attempts to like try to get in and catch a piece of that move. And if I can't get it by then I'm just done, and I'm going to wait for the next spot to look for another opportunity or another type of setup. Because I found that if I try it too many times, then I end up just blowing everything, or blowing my day's capital, and then I've got no more chips to put in the pile, later on in the session where there's maybe a better opportunity or a cleaner setup. So I'm always trying to make sure that I at least have another trade available to take, if that makes sense. Like I don't want to handcuff myself to the point where this is it. It's all or nothing on this one spot.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I was just getting at like, are we talking in a meta sense or in like in a setup micro kind of sense? So that's helpful.
For me, it's more of a setup micro kind of sense. But if I'm also not really having a good feel for a read of what's happening, then I'm also pretty quick to walk away.
I'm curious. Have you ever tried just flipping the sim, forcing yourself to work through that situation and flipping it to sim rather than walking away from it?
I have, or I'll go replay the day, but it's usually I try to go back in time and just try a different day and then come back to it after I don't know exactly what already happened again. As obviously it's easy to trade the move when you know exactly what it's going to do. I like to try to make sure there's some time that passes before I revisit it so it's not so fresh in my head. Longtime fans of the show should be familiar with the lender formerly known as Sue Pullen, and I'm pleased to announce that she's back, fresh off a rebrand and ready to help as Sue Mackey. Sue is a certified mortgage advisor at Fairway Independent Mortgage, an equal housing lender who focuses on finding the right product for you and your needs. She has over 20 years of experience helping thousands of homeowners. Whether it's purchasing, refinancing, or even a reverse mortgage, Sue will help. Sue's licensed in 36 states now, so reach out and let Sue Mackey it happen for you. The best way to reach her is just give her a call at 520-977-7904 or in an email, spullen@fairwaymc.com. Fairway Independent Mortgage has an MLS number of 2289. Sue Mackey has an MLS number of 206048. That email again, spullen@fairwaymc.com, and that phone number is 520-977-7904. Shoot Sue an email and let her know she needs to update that address. All right, anything else on this topic, or should we move on and do some good, bad, and ugly?
Yeah, I'm down for some good, bad, and ugly.
Did you guys hear that?
No sound effects.
Did it work? Did it work? Well, I heard it.
That's all that really matters, Kyle.
Oh, Riverside, you kind of suck. All right, well, y'all know what my bad is. This recording. Who's got one they want to start off with?
I'll start off with my my dummy bad. I passed an eval, and I had a few more trading days left to get to the funded part. And I thought I closed my position before I left to work, and apparently I didn't. And came back with about half of it gone.
Oh, dude.
That's my
Oh,
that was my gym account. It's like,
oh, I love that GIF account idea too.
I'll get it back next week. Yeah, that was
Who was it through?
It was through Apex. Hit the eval in 3 days and had to wait to get the rest of them. And I have one more day left.
Are you sure you didn't actually close it all out and they didn't leave a little phantom position on there, like a phantom stop?
Nope, because I actually
Sometimes
noticed
they
it
do that
at
to me.
work. No, I noticed it at work. I was like, why is that one still got? It still shows negative. I'm like, yeah, it wasn't fun. It's like when you're done for the day and you're going to do your journaling and you look at all your counts, you're like, why is that thing moving?
Oh, man.
So.
Oh, God. CP says he left one on Apex overnight once and they took it off and said, don't let it happen again.
I'm surprised they did
That
that,
was
to
nice
be
of
honest
them.
with you.
Yeah, I'm surprised at that too.
No kidding.
Man.
All right. Did you have a good at least, I hope?
No, I really didn't have. I mean, my trading was actually kind of low volume, just work taking over. Didn't force really too much. That's actually why I started the gym account, because I was working out in the morning and I could actually watch the charts more.
That's funny. I think that's the time Baba and Banks have been debating over whether they should get up early enough to trade.
Yeah.
Haven't you guys been seeing a bunch of opportunities at like 5 in the morning?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of great opportunities at the Euro during the Euro session, dude. Honestly, it's kind of clockwork-esque. That, and then even like early US, like 6 a.m. in that like time frame, a few hours before the RTH open. There's been some really good opportunities. So,
How's your week then?
my week?
Do you have a good or bad you want to talk about?
Oh, well, I do have some good and some bad. Let's see. What is the bad? Let's talk about the bad I made a video about. I mean, that was kind of the bad.
That wasn't even that bad either, really.
Yeah, but it wasn't a financial bad on that. I think the thing that frustrated me in post as I like zoomed the lens out to think about it, like that day wasn't great anyways. It could have been much, much better, obviously, with that kind of movement. And So I think the thing that I lamented there and why it was bad was not being dynamic enough. And actually, it was a prep. I think it was a prep work oversight, and not in the sense of like that we didn't notice it. It was that I didn't. I just like didn't keep that at the forefront. I didn't actually write that down on this notepad that sits right here that I look at like throughout the day. This guy, and so I didn't write that last little phrase that part out, and then also just kind of getting tunnel visioned to the setup that was really really clear, which was like the whole no tick or da 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 da, and like I don't like that. Like I don't like missing something like that, and not as much for me as for everybody else in the room, but it just like I don't like missing that kind of thing when we had it kind of cornered because we cautioned everyone against falling in love with that idea, and then I married it for like for like 20 minutes.
I love the video you did because you put the recording from the live prep right at the very end where you said, you should be mindful if we get above this thing, then this is a spot where they're going to want to... Yeah. Exactly what you said.
So when you have, like... Go ahead.
I was just saying, I'll make sure I link that video in the episode description if people haven't seen it yet.
And it's like, it's, I mean, it's in the therapy session for me, but that was the bad. It's just, that's a thing that probably happens like twice, 3 times a month, and not just like a long trade that flips short, but just like that type of inefficiency in translating what you have prepared to what unfolds in its a dramatic, like it has a dramatic, not necessarily that you lose a lot of money, but there's a missed opportunity that's pretty big. That probably happens like 3 times a month, and it's annoying, and I don't like it. And I'm working on some things to address that. So,
only 3 times a month isn't that bad. You said you had a good too, though.
Good was that I was
those damn hats is what.
Good. Yeah, that's true. This guy
hat looks sick, dude. Oh, yeah.
I don't have the other 2 with me, but there's a camo. For those of you that aren't aware, there's a camo version and a straight blacked out version, and I have a friend that
murdered out.
I have a friend that makes hats, and so he went over there and we kind of pulled it together. So I don't know that we have really any plans of like rolling these out. I might send you guys one or something, but they're cool. The good was the awareness of the shenanigans that could unfold in what was it? What day was it? Wednesday's trading, Thursday's trading. Isn't Thursday when we went up and basically, we double tapped 16,100. So I was long from much lower than that from overnight, late at night, sometime around, I don't know if I got long at like 5 or 6 a.m., somewhere in there. Banks probably remembers the number. And then I was long, scaled off, and had one going into news, which was kind of cool. And then the news went up to 16.1, which is what I thought. And then, so that was cool. That was my good. I feel like thinking ahead about that idea, watching the Euro session provide that opportunity, taking advantage of it, and then writing a nice size trade up through all that, scaling, and then taking that last one off, and Kyle's gone again. So, Jesus. That's the good. And the other good, while we're all hanging out until he gets back, the other good was shorting 16.1 late in the day on Wednesday, like at 1 in the afternoon or something like that. I thought that was pretty good. Like just dynamic. It was kind of a inflow idea that was obviously worked out pretty well. So that was cool.
Nice. About you, Mr. Banks?
Yeah, I would say my bad was probably Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I had well, let me explain it. I had a sick wife, sick kids on Monday, Tuesday, and then proceeded to kind of go just slow into the week on Monday, Tuesday with that going on, and Wednesday being like the first real trading day, and all of a sudden I just took all my trades from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday all on one day. So It wasn't financially bad, but it was just mentally draining. But I would say the good was wrapping up the week. Today just being really patient, kind of waiting for a trade. Got one set up on crude oil and hit it for 40, 50 points and called it a day. So.
Have you been nailing crude lately?
It's so clean.
Probably going to get me to build one of those charts here before too long.
For like the last 7 years or so, I think has been nailing crude.
My favorite is when there's an oil tanker or something and you're long.
You've heard that story, I'm sure.
Yeah, but it's just been moving so cleanly.
Yeah.
That and UB actually. I haven't taken a lot of trades on UB, but it's been moving cleanly and very structural.
UB is a beast. I have not even touched that one. I don't know. You guys ever trade that, Perdue, Baba?
Nope.
I used to trade it a little bit more, but not lately.
How about you, Kyle?
All right, not hearing many uglies. I can fill that in for that. I had a really good week actually. I think the week as a whole was actually really good. I think I sent you guys my stats. Friday wasn't great, but I mean, I stopped it before it gave back, more than I made on Thursday, so I was really happy with that. I just been spending a lot of time backtesting and building confidence in the ideas I've been working on, and that work I think is really starting to pay off. The bad. Besides this recording and my shitty internet connection tonight, I let an untested idea sneak into my trading, and this was even after Banks told me and Joel to be aware of that and don't let ourselves trade off of it until we've tested it. And somehow, going back through my logs, I didn't even realize it in the moment. I went back through when I was journaling. I was like, no, but this is an idea Banks was telling us about on that Monday call. What the hell was I thinking?
Well, you had to not do it right then, right?
Yeah, of course. That was the time it didn't work. As far as the ugly goes, and this isn't trading related, but I think I was telling you guys I'd been trying to repair a dryer. Yeah, that did not work. The new one's getting delivered tomorrow.
The Nemesis dryer.
Finally gave up on it. Swear to God, that thing was working great. Runs great for like 10 minutes, and it gets hot, and the bearing seizes up. So yeah. Whatever I made this week is going straight into a new dryer.
I have an off-topic thing that I can tell you that I destroyed one of my snowplows.
Yep.
Purposefully, or
did you catch something, or
caught a manhole that I've driven over probably 1 million times, and even drove over it that day, and then somehow, some way, just picked up one of my employees to teach him how to drive a snowplow, and within the first 50 feet, caught the man plow and destroyed one of my wings on my plow.
I'm sorry, that sucks.
Yeah, you weren't in Vegas, right? Not where the Formula One races were.
No.
Okay, good. All right, should we move on and do some bold predictions and wrap this thing up?
Sure.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first?
Well, let's see. Who does want to go first?
Mine's pretty quick. So it'll be a quick one, and that's like a little miracle in and of itself for me to be quick. So, I can't remember how many years, my wife and I take a trip every December with no kids, and we go to Tennessee, and it's just like, not because Tennessee's great. No, I don't have anything against Tennessee, but it's just close enough that if something happened, we could get home. We don't have to fly, blah, 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 blah. So we go there and hang out for like a week and just go eat food and like be like irresponsible because we don't have kids, so we can do whatever. Sleep in, nice. Wake up early, stay up late, whatever. My wife loves black bears. It's not like our home is decorated with black bears, but the joke is like bears just want to cuddle. That's like what she says. Oh, they just want to cuddle. They're not going to do anything. So we have been to Tennessee so many times. We've never seen a bear. So my bold prediction is this week, this next week is when we go. We are going to see a bear.
Are you staying in a cave?
Nope.
Okay. Don't they hibernate?
Yeah, that's the problem. We go in December every year and we don't see them. But this year, bold prediction, we're going to see one.
I guess that is pretty fucking bold.
Fortune favors the bold. You know what I'm saying?
I love it. All right. I'll give you that one. All right, who's got another one?
I'll take the easiest one. I think the Santa Claus rally already started.
Baba sees a bear.
You got Banks all tickled over there. Oh
my gosh.
All right. So what do you mean by the Santa Claus rally?
4,700 before Christmas.
God damn it.
Was that yours?
Maybe. Not 4,700, but 4,700 Spy or ES?
Yes.
ES by Christmas. I like that one. I was going to go with new all-time highs for the Qs this year. So I guess we kind of had the same one.
That's in the same realm.
Yeah. What about you, Banks? You want to make it a three-peat?
So mine is not, well...
Dow?
I mean, I guess the easy one would be to do that, but I'll say I'll kind of go just because it's a hot topic in college football. I think, and this is going to be very bold, but I think it's the first college playoffs that we don't have an SEC team in.
In the playoffs at all?
If Alabama beats Georgia,
you see
I don't
Baba's
think you can
face. That's the face I'm making. You lost your goddamn
Alabama
mind.
they'll put Alabama in if they lose to Georgia. They'll put both of them in. Just
how many spots are there this year?
They can't. There's only 4.
Oh, I thought they increased
there's
it
always
to 8.
only 4.
No, it's only 4 this year.
Weren't they supposed to be bumping it up to 8?
That's next year, I think.
Next year.
Next year, okay.
But if Alabama beats Georgia, Texas currently is ranked higher than Alabama.
Isn't Texas
See
SEC
Baba's
now?
face?
Bro, I mean,
Not yet.
let's put a little. We need to talk about this off camera. We'll put a little
put
bet
a little
on
money
this.
on the line.
You want to wager on this?
You're saying that Alabama beats Georgia and Alabama still doesn't. You're saying Alabama's not one of the 4.
Yeah.
Not a chance, dude.
How not?
It's a bold prediction, Baba. It's a bold prediction.
That's right. It is bold. I mean, you're not trying to push an agenda.
It's meant to be wrong, correct?
No. It's meant to. If you get it right, you get to tell everybody. Look how smart you are.
I'm just surprised that you'd say that.
I'm going to look like a jackass next week. So.
Nah, man, I'm pulling for you. I don't really care about Alabama. I just think that's highly unlikely.
I just don't. Well, with that, I'll reason it with you. So Texas beat Alabama. Alabama beats Georgia. How are you going to put Alabama ahead of Texas?
Because that's what they do.
Because
it's Nick
money.
Saban, dude. He's got those people in his pocket, bro.
Well, maybe, but that's my bold prediction. That's probably not going to happen.
We'll see. I mean, it'd be crazy if not, right?
I still like it though. You stirred some very strong emotions out of the group here. All right, anybody else have anything here before we wrap this thing up?
Nope.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for today's episode. I'd like to thank Baba Yaga and Mr. Banks and Perdue for joining me on this chilly Friday evening, and everybody listening who stuck around to the end. Sure, you remember to check out that new combined Discord server where you can trade with us during Friday M-Period challenges, or you can tune in live to these recordings. And please show our panelists some love by checking out their links in the show notes. We will be back soon with another exciting episode full of bold calls. But until then, share this episode with your friends like an ugly Christmas sweater picture, and take care. This podcast is intended for informational and educational purposes only. It does not constitute financial or investment advice and should not be construed as such. The hosts, guests, and contributors of this podcast are not licensed financial advisors, brokers, or professionals. Any trading or investment decisions made based on the content of this podcast are solely at the listener's discretion and risk. Trading and investing in financial markets carry inherent risks, and past performance is not indicative of future results. Listeners should conduct their own research and seek advice from qualified financial professionals before making any financial decisions. The views, opinions, and information shared in this podcast are those of the individual contributors and do not necessarily reflect the views or policies of the podcast creators or associated organizations. Produced by China Shop Productions.